Hi BookTube, Aaron here. I hope you're doing okay. It's been a very cold and windy and wet day here where I am. I'm quite enjoying it actually. It's quite welcome after um, some of the hot weather that we've been having recently. Today for Tag Tuesday, I'm going to do the BookTube Newbie Tag 2.0. And this was, it was inspired by watching Mark from Book Time with Elvis. He has recently been celebrating the fact that he's made more than 500 videos. And as a celebration for that, he did the BookTube newbie tag all over again. And so after watching that, I did a bit of searching and I found that there was a BookTube newbie tag 2.0. There's also the BookTube not a newbie tag or something like that. And I was comparing the questions and I just found I preferred the questions of the BookTube newbie tag 2.0. So I'm going to do that today. But I've also included 3 questions from the original BookTube newbie tag just because there are new people turning up all the time and I'm always finding new channels on BookTube and things like that. And so I thought it'd be a nice way for people to get to know me a bit if you haven't seen my original BookTube newbie tag. So I'll be doing that. So the main tag, the BookTube newbie tag 2.0, was created by Michael Deutsch. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your surname, Michael. And there are 11 questions in that tag, and I'm adding 3. So there's 14 questions I've got to get through. So let's speed up. So the first question, which is from the original tag, is why did you start this channel? And for quite a while, even when I was in uni, some people were telling me that I should start a BookTube channel, particularly when I get giddy and I'm around people. I just say loads of really weird things. So that might be why. When I'm by myself, I'm a little more subdued, and so that energy doesn't actually really come across much on my videos. But the impetus for a BookTube channel really came about during COVID and lockdown and stuff, and I found I was watching lots of BookTube stuff just because I wasn't really talking to as many people, wasn't seeing as many people. Just a few months before lockdown, I'd finished, I'd just sort of graduated. Well, I didn't really graduate, but I just finished at uni. And so I was just finding a kind of gap that I liked just sitting and talking to people about books, and I couldn't do that. And so I was watching lots of BookTube, and then I was seeing these channels like Matthew at Maybury Book Club, and Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, Brian from Bookish, Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Steve Donahue, and loads of people who just sat down and just talked. And I think it was while I was watching a Maybe Book Club video where I had a bit of a eureka moment. I was like, these are just normal people talking about books. I can do this too. And so I did. I also got a bit of encouragement from my wife as well, because she's a midwife, and at that point, um, on most days she was really the only person I was actually talking to, and she was getting a bit sick, I think, of just hearing me talk about what I've been reading. And when she got in from a long day at work, she didn't really want to be just hearing me getting all excited about Dickens. So that was also another part of it as well, to kind of vent a little bit. The next question, again from the original BookTube newbie tag, is why do you love reading? And I kind of misread this when I prepared my answer as what do you love about reading? When I decided to study literature at uni, it was mainly because there's something kind of interdisciplinary about literature, or you can sort of use other disciplines or subjects to as a kind of filter sort of hone in on a certain element of a text. So you're getting your psychology and your sociology and your history, and even your science and your philosophy and your art, even music sometimes kind of comes into it. And you can think about all these things and mash them all up, and it's something that I really love about literature, and it's still something I love about reading, how just interconnected all these ideas and disciplines are. And also, I just love the way books talk to other books or mention other books or allude to other books as well. That's particularly on my mind because I've been reading lots of Italo Calvino, and I'm currently reading Umberto Eco at the moment as well. So they're two authors that the kind of the way one book leads to another is a kind of hang up of theirs, I suppose. But that's something I really love about reading as well. The next question, and the last one I've taken from the original BookTube Newbie tag, is what kind of books do you like to read? I've got some books here to kind of illustrate, and I'll go through as quickly as I can. So I love poetry, both ancient and modern. So stuff like Beowulf, I love stuff like that, or Alice Oswald. Falling Awake is a great, relatively recent poetry collection, and I love almost everything in between when it comes to poetry. I love expansive fiction that just gets you thinking, particularly Borges. He's a favourite writer of mine. I love dusty, big old classics that aren't really that dusty, like something like The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I just got this in the post today, the new Michael Katz translation. I'm very excited to read it. Or sort of crazy, absurd modernist fiction. I really like Kafka. I like Gothic fiction, particularly sort of terror Gothic fiction, stuff like the Mystery of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe. I like translated fiction, particularly when it's sad and from a country I don't know too much about, like Laszlo Krasznahorkai, who's from Hungary. I like silly, whimsical fiction stories. I really love Douglas Adams. This is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. While we're on detectives, I like classic mysteries, particularly Sherlock Holmes. I like ancient and sort of ancient stories, myths, poems, or the equivalent from near or late antiquity, something like the Kalevala or the Mabinogion or the Morte d'Arthur or something like that. This year I found I really like travel writing, particularly Patrick Leigh Fermor. This is his A Time of Gifts, which I really love. I'm trying to get better at reading history. I'm very interested in history. It's one of the ways when I'm thinking about books, I like to sort of think in a historical kind of way. It's how I connect the dots between authors and what they're talking about. Judith Herron's Byzantium was really interesting, and I'm quite interested in Byzantine history. And I also love author biographies, particularly, so something like this, which I haven't read this one yet, but this is Keats, A Brief Life in 9 Poems and 1 Epitaph by Lucaston Miller. So in a kind of broad sense and very quickly, that's the sort of stuff that I like reading. And then into the BookTube Newbie Tag 2.0 proper. The first question is, what genres would you like to see talked more about on BookTube? And I don't really have an answer for this. I think most genres are pretty well represented. I suppose non-fiction doesn't get talked about too much, but even then it's still relatively well represented, so I don't really have an answer for that question. Number 2 is, what do you feel is the best way or ways to make friends on BookTube? One is to comment. That was before I started making videos. That was how I sort of got my foot in the door and started getting to know people was through commenting on videos. And then I think once I'd started making videos, I started participating in reading events, and I quite like read-alongs where you just have a massive group of people and you'll all be talking on an app like Voxer, or there might be a Discord server or something like that. And that's another great way to meet people, whether it's other people who are subscribed to any given channel, or whether it's other booktubers. So I've met lots of great people through that. I'm not always the best at joining in the conversation. I sort of peak and trough when it comes to that kind of thing, but I'm going to try and get better at that. Number 3, what do you enjoy most about making BookTube videos? And I think for me, it's when I've made a video and I've read something I really liked and I get excited about it, and then someone else in a comment or in their video or whatever, they've read it too and they're also really excited about it, and I like that connection. I also just like seeing other people getting excited about things as well. It's always fun. So yeah, that's my answer. Number 4, what do you least look forward to when making BookTube videos? For me, that's editing. I don't particularly like editing videos. Occasionally, when I make things like vlogs and stuff, I try to be a bit more creative with it, and that can be fun. But for most videos, I try to do as little editing as possible. I try to boost the volume as much as I can, and I cut off the beginning and the end when I'm setting up and stuff, and so that's about all I do, and then I upload it. But even then, that might be too much editing for me. Number 5, what videos other than tags, TBRs, wrap-ups, reviews and recommendations would you like to see more of? I'll just add Poetry Thursday to that. It's a nice little tradition that's developed. So when I first started making videos, in the first few weeks, I tried doing a weekly poem, and then that kind of petered out. And then some other channels started doing some like a Poetry Thursday challenge, and they were challenging other channels to read a poem on a Thursday, and then that gradually turned into Poetry Thursday. And so there are a few channels out here who still do it, and it's a lot of fun, and I'd still like to see it much more. Number 6, what are some themes that you want to see more of or less of in books? I don't particularly like this question, so I'm quite happy for authors just to write what they write, and as a reader, I'm gonna just read what I want to read, and we'll just see how that goes. There might be stuff I'm disappointed with, but that's not really the end of the world. So yeah, I'm not going to make that kind of choice, and I don't really want to. It's just not the kind of thing I'm interested in talking about, really. Number 7, what are some of your BookTube goals? I think just to keep on going, to be more patient with myself, and to be a bit more eloquent as well. I want to get better at saying precisely what I mean about a book or about a subject or whatever. So yeah, there are my goals, and we'll see how long it takes for me to get better at them. Number 8, what advice would you give to a booktuber who's just started their channel? I think a lot of people would say this, but I would just say to be yourself. And it's not necessarily to say that if you see someone else's videos and you like something about it, or you're kind of taking inspiration from someone else, that's good. But don't feel like you need to change something fundamental to how you work, how you think, and how you express yourself, if it's going to really get in the way. So just do what works for you, basically. The 9th question is, what are some qualities or traits that you look for when it comes to watching other booktubers? And as I was saying when I was talking about um, why I started the channel, when I was seeing these people who are just talking and having a conversation, that's what, you know, the main thing I look for is, yeah, just someone talking, and it feels like I could just be sat in the, you know, in a coffee shop or in the pub, or, you know, wherever, just having a chat with them. I really like that. So that's the main thing that attracts me to channels. So sometimes people just have a great personality, or it's what they read, or the way they talk about what they read. So there are loads of different things, um, but a lot of the time it's that quite informal conversational style that I quite like. Number 10 is, what is a fun fact about you or a hobby besides reading or writing that people on BookTube might not know about? Um, and obviously I talk about my reading all the time. I do sometimes talk about my writing or my frustrations with writing. I've talked about music, and you know, I play a few musical instruments. I think I've talked about that a fair bit in some other videos. So a fun fact about me, about a hobby or a pursuit that I had in the past, was that I used to dance, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'll, you know, let you paint your own sort of mental picture. So yeah, I used to dance. Number 11, and this is the last one, and it's just who do you tag? Which booktubers do you tag? And again, I do this too often, but I'm going to leave this as an open tag. So if you've seen this, if you've been making booktube videos for a while, and maybe you've already done the BookTube Newbie tag, then please feel free to consider yourself tagged and give it a go. But for now, that's everything. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.